Alright guys, the Punisher Max 17 here today, and this is my first work in progress for my 2012 Mecha Contest Entry, the Unicorn Battlefield Diorama. That's a tentatively named project. I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to keep through the end or not, but that's what I'm calling it right now, and that's what its name is on the Mac forums. And now I know this has been a long time since my announcement video, but to be honest, it's not only that there's a lot of small things that just took a little while to do and kind of accumulated into this video, but also I got really distracted by my Liger Zero Schneider. I mean, doing a little work on that back in January really ignited my flame to get it done, I guess, and really had pushed me to finish the Liger Zero core. And now that the core's done, I'm fine with waiting a little bit to actually finish the Schneider armor, so I'm moving on to focusing on this stuff. Also, it didn't help that I got Skyward Sword and was compulsively playing that all the time, but I beat it too, so my time is completely freed up to this diorama. Okay, so let's get on to the work in progress itself. Enough of me talking. What I'm doing is making a diorama out of these old floppy disks. These are old, hard to find now in some cases, because, I mean, they don't make them anymore. But I had a lot of them. Came across a lot of them, at least. And basically what I did is I took the metal part, ripped it off, and took the actual disc out of the inside. You can see the actual disc here. It's just a little floppy thing, obviously, because their name is floppy disks. But I would take all that out, gut it out, and then use mesh wire to put in this open space. Now this is mesh wire, which is actually screen window repair wire, and it works decently, but not as well as this other mesh wire I got. I found this kind of mesh wire later on, and it actually works a whole lot better. So on my entire diorama, aside from this piece, I have that mesh wire there. Anyway, this is the first thing I made right here. I made this at the very beginning of January, way back, just to kind of see how it would work getting all these glued together. This is a similar method I used for my Wing Zero custom diorama, but it was just one floppy disk. It was more of a little base than a diorama, to be honest, but it was the first thing I'd ever done like that. And I just used one disc, and that worked really well. So I tried gluing them together. What I did is I glued them all together and let that dry, then filled in, or actually I used some of these Q-tip parts. Basically I cut the little bud off each end of the Q-tip and used the stick, and it actually added a decent amount of stability throughout here, more than I realized it would actually, and it worked pretty decently well. I also took a few pieces of basically it's just like for sale signs and stuff that you can get at like a Walmart or anything like that, and covered some holes on the bottom here where there are bigger gaps. And after that, I went and I took some Mr. Dissolving Putty, this right here, and I filled in all these lines in between here, because, you know, some of them were pretty close, but others had pretty big gaps. So I filled this in, sanded it down real well, and then filled it in a second time and sanded it down again. And it turned out pretty well, if I do say so myself. You know, you can obviously see where the dissolving putty is, but that's all going to be painted over, and it's actually really smooth and filled in now. So I think it worked out quite well. I still have some work to do right here, though. But basically, this, and then also this, which is an incomplete, this is also going to be a platform with some stuff coming down to kind of connect it, like these. But these are going to be raised platforms off of my main diorama display base, which is, quite frankly, a whole bunch of them. This here, all of these, what I did is I took all of these floppy disks, did the same thing as there, and then I took a wooden board. It's kind of like a particle board, about that thick, if you can see there. Kind of like a, well, like a particle board or something. And then I glued all these on there using wood glue. Now that took me a little bit to actually figure out, oh, I need to use wood glue, because it was really frustrating. You know, super glue didn't work. Any kind of glue didn't work until I used wood glue. So, I mean, I knew wood glue was obviously made for wood, but I didn't realize that it's the only thing that will work. So that actually led to my frustration in working on the Schneider for a little bit. But I glued all these down. It's basically a 4x4 thing, and then these here, there's a row on each side here that basically goes off the edge of the wood. That's about half on, half off. But these main 4x4 is what I was really focused on at first. And there are some even bigger gaps. Some of them, again, small. But because of the design of the floppy disk, you had some bigger gaps like this one. Now what I did here, half worked, half didn't. I took some clay, just some air drying clay, and filled in all these gaps. And I filled that in, and then I went over it with the dissolving putty, hoping that would kind of seal it in. And some places it worked pretty well, like over in here and stuff. It's pretty smooth, still a little rigid, but I'm not too worried about that because of what I'm really planning on doing with this. But so I'm really not too worried about the rigidness of it. But these other gaps do kind of bother me, and were not intentional, because basically the clay just didn't stick. That's been my big problem with the air drying clay I've ever used, is it doesn't stick to anything. So I would be using putty, like some Tamiya putty or something, but I don't live anywhere near somewhere that sells it. So I either need to order some online at this point, or just wait till the next time I'm in the city to get it. Anyway, I did that, then I glued the half on, half off floppy disk all the way around here on 3 sides. This side isn't, but I'm pretty much thinking I'm going to use this as the back of the diorama, and I'm really not too worried about that. I don't think it'll make a big impact on the final project. Okay, so after that, after I got those half on, half off stuff, I cut out these parts from the runners of my master grade GM Type C, basically. I cut out these pieces, and my idea was to make it look like piping. So I had these, had a ton of these, because this is a very big diorama. And you can see here, I kind of did a piping look to it. Let's see if it'll focus here. There we go. You can see it almost looks like piping-ish kind of stuff, which I actually think turned out reasonably well. You know, this was kind of monotonous to do, to be honest, but to me it was worth it, without a doubt. It's one of those little tiny details that I actually think is going to end up making a nice impact. And I have this all the way around, you see. But yeah, like I said, tiny detail, but it's something that I kind of sort of did on my Wing Zero Custom, but I wanted to do even more on this. And it just adds that little bit of detail of like space debris kind of thing. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is going to be a space diorama. That's probably pretty key information there for you guys. I'm not sure if I said that. But this is almost going to be like a space debris, space colony. Almost like a broken part that's just kind of drifting out there that this battle's taking place on. And this is where it's broken off. And you can see the piping, the internal stuff that's just trashed because of how it got broken off. So we're going to have this piping. I'm going to add some more details on there that you guys will see in the next video. So yeah, that went pretty well. I super glued all this stuff down. Some of it was pretty easy to do, some of it was a pain, some of it I had to kind of hold into place till it dried a bit, and then run the glue through some other parts to really hold it in there for sure. Alright, so let's look at this here. You can see where the piping's coming out. Some of it's very subtle, some of it's really sticking out there, like right there. But I think having the varying levels of it showing kind of adds to the realisticness. If it was real uniform and stuff, I don't think it would look as good, to be completely honest. But I know some of this is like the cream colored and gray and stuff, but it's all going to be painted over. This whole thing's going to be painted, obviously. I can't throw this out there and think it looks fine. I mean, it's all sorts of colors, but This will be painted. That's probably going to be a ways down the road, because doing this part is basically my first step. Doing this and finishing these platforms and getting them kind of mounted on here. Not actually mounted on there, but figured out where I'm going to put them, I should say, is the first step. And after that, I'll be doing the Gundams to this. And after the Gundam step, it'll be final touches on the diorama, which is actually going to be a little more work than it sounds. It's going to be more than final touches. It's basically going to be preparing the diorama to look the way I want it. It'll be taking it from a flat surface like this to really setting it up to look like space debris. So I hope you guys like how this is going. If you have any comments, leave them below. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you, like I said, I hope you like how it's going, and I hope you're looking forward to the next video. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.